story I'm going to tell you about the bank, and to give you context on Citizens Bank, is that back in the 1950s when this bank was started, the gentleman that started it was named J.K. Sutherland, and he was a chicken farmer. And when he was a young person, he started his chicken farm and wanted to grow it. And to grow a business, you need a bank because you need to borrow capital. So that's why banks exist. And he came in to Batesville to borrow money, and every bank in town turned him down. And he said to himself then that if he ever became a successful chicken farmer, that he would start his own bank, and he would have it be a bank for the average person. And so the name of our bank is actually the Citizens Bank, because it's the citizens that J.K. Sutherland started the bank for. Well, he became a successful chicken farmer, started a company called Banquet Foods, which was a national, you probably remember Banquet Foods and Kroger's and Safeway and every food store really in America.
The average assets of Citizens Bank remain above their peer group average over the last 3 years.
The ROA, however, has remained slightly below peer group averages.
Net income for Citizens has risen 86% since 2014. Considering all of these factors, we feel that they are in a good position financially to succeed in the future.
The board said, we want to grow the bank, we want to become a statewide franchise. And when you start to do that, you invest in buildings. This $12 million building, every time I walk through this building, I love it. But honestly, I think, okay, I got to pay for it. This last year, we grew up to about $860 million, and that was about $70 million of growth in 1 year. We also raised about $9 million of new capital to do that, and I would say looking into 2019, we'll probably grow another $100 million this year, mainly in Little Rock and Central Arkansas, and we're going to need to raise some capital to do that, which is a good problem to have. If you're raising capital to grow your assets, you're doing well. If you're raising capital because you have loans.
Increase the number of mortgage loans that require escrow, that added numerous burdens to your employee staffing, because those loans are constantly touched, because you are escrowing their taxes, you're escrowing their insurance, and if you've never worked with a loan that you're tracking insurance on, how many times do you look at changing your insurance? So, that's constant monitoring and adding staff just to keep up with the volume. I think right now we have approximately maybe 500 escrow loans, and which is a lot to take care of. And most banks, your smaller banks, were not able to add the additional staff, so what they opted to do was just not offer these loans at all. So at that point in time, your customers had to find financing elsewhere just to accommodate for the need.
How does the change in risk-based equity calculations affect your bank?
It makes it more simple, but it doesn't really help.
Will it be easier to raise capital under the new rules?
Yes, that one I like.
In what way will that help the bank overall?
It allows a bank that is privately held to execute some debt obligations that we couldn't do otherwise. Okay. And which basically this rule, as it was before this new law, would have just stopped our growth totally. And so now we're not stopped by that, which is good.
Together, so the regulatory costs and the recruitment levels. You see recruitment a huge problem in rural areas. You can't hire the staff that you need to be able to be compliant and service. So if they can't hire someone that is fluent enough in mortgage lending, they all of a sudden can't offer mortgage loans, or if they can't hire somebody that's fluent enough in certain compliance areas, that takes businesses' product lines down, and they all of a sudden don't have that revenue stream. In order to benefit in the future, and I saw that you have a looking forward piece in your assignment, is that we need regulations to follow technology. So there's other industries right now that are in our space, and regulations haven't caught up to regulate them the same way that community banks that have been here since 1953 have been regulated throughout the decades. So we're in this not so fun spot that we're competing against unregulated industries that are now in our space, and then we're working with regulations and technology that we can't necessarily move on until the regulation catches up. And I'm sure you guys have covered this throughout your time, but that's why bankers have become a lot more active in some of the voices for legislation. And I'm proud for this assignment because it gives us a voice to be able to say we need help in this area. And one of my biggest areas would be we need help and flexibility in servicing our customers with today's technology, because you see it from all industries. And as Phil was talking about, Amazon has conditioned our customers into wanting one-click purchases. What can you do in banking that is one click? That's not because we don't want it to be one click. That's because we're regulated. We can't make things happen in one click. So that would be my big ask with regulations and the relief for us. Unraveling Dodd-Frank is awesome, but being able to move forward with technology-based things in mind, that would be